My name is Denise, and while most orphans dream of finding a forever home, I spent my childhood perfecting the art of becoming unadoptable. I wasn't just a rebellious kid. I was a one-girl demolition crew designed to test the patience of every well-meaning adult who walked through the doors of the St. Jude's Home for Unwanted Youth in downtown Detroit. I remember the specific Tuesday when I replaced the communal shampoo with permanent hot pink hair dye, turning the entire morning assembly into a chaotic scene that looked like a failed K-pop audition. You guys look like you're about to drop the hottest album of the year, so really, you should be thanking me for the makeover, I said with a smirk as the headmistress screamed in horror. Denise, for the last time, we are trying to get you adopted, not arrested for vandalism, Mrs. Higgins yelled, her own gray roots now stained a shocking shade of magenta. But I didn't care about their rules because I thrived on the fear I instilled in the other kids, who genuinely believed I had supernatural powers. They say if you whisper Denise 3 times into the bathroom mirror at midnight, she appears behind you with a pair of scissors, I heard a first grader whisper to his trembling friend. I decided to lean into the legend, popping out from behind a vending machine with a sheet over my head, screaming, "You summoned me, mortals." The scream that erupted from that hallway was music to my ears, even if it did earn me a week of scrubbing the cafeteria floors with a toothbrush. Over the years, dozens of potential parents came to meet me, armed with hope and brochures for private schools, but I had a foolproof system to drive them away. One couple, the Miller Joneses, fled the building in record time after I greeted them wearing a shirt covered in what they thought was blood but was actually just corn syrup and red food coloring. "Don't worry," I told them with a deadpan expression, "the other kid didn't make it, but I promise I'm really good at burying evidence in the garden." To ensure total isolation, I hacked into the orphanage's administrative computer when I was 12 and changed my file status to "already adopted, do not disturb," effectively erasing myself from the market. I told myself I was saving those families from the burden of me, but deep down, I was just waiting for the people who actually belonged to me. In my head, my real parents were international spies on the run, or perhaps misunderstood bank robbers who had to leave me behind to protect me from the mob. I built this fantasy so high that no reality could possibly touch it, until the night I turned 17 and decided to break into the director's office for a little pharmaceutical sabotage. I was midway through swapping his blood pressure medication for high-strength laxatives when a rusty filing cabinet in the back corner caught my eye. With a bobby pin and a little patience, I picked the lock and found the dead files section, a dusty graveyard of paperwork for kids who had aged out or vanished. My heart hammered against my ribs as I pulled out a thick manila folder with my name, Denise, scrawled on the tab in fading black marker. It wasn't just a birth certificate, it was a treasure trove of complaints, police reports, and damage assessments from my 17 years of reign. But buried at the bottom was a single, crumpled sheet of paper that listed 2 names under the header "Biological Parents," Carmen and Henry Blandon. They weren't criminals, they weren't dead, and most shockingly, they had an address listed in a wealthy suburb just 3 hours away. Carmen and Henry Blandon, I whispered the names into the dark office, testing how they tasted on my tongue, feeling a mix of rage and curiosity bubbling up. I didn't pack a bag. I just shoved the file into my backpack, stole $50 from the petty cash box, and climbed out the window into the cool night air. It took me 2 days of hitchhiking and one very awkward ride in the back of a chicken truck to reach the address listed in the file. I stood on the sidewalk, staring at a house that was so painfully suburban it looked like it had been vomited up by a lifestyle magazine. The grass was manicured to within an inch of its life, there was a minivan in the driveway, and a wreath on the door that said alive, laugh, love. I was about to storm the front door when it swung open, and I froze behind a large oak tree to get my first look at the people who had abandoned me. A woman walked out wearing high-waisted mom jeans and a sweater set that screamed, "I bake cookies for the PTA," followed by a man who looked like he got excited about Excel spreadsheets. "Don't forget, honey, tonight is our special date night for Blondine's Day," the man said, adjusting his glasses with a dopey grin. "I wouldn't miss it for the world, Henry, just you, me, and that gluten-free pasta place we love," the woman replied, pecking him on the cheek. I felt bile rise in my throat. These weren't cool outlaws, they were the most boring people on the face of the earth. Just then, a teenage girl walked out of the house, and my breath caught in my throat because she looked exactly like a younger, cleaner, softer version of me. She was wearing a pastel unicorn backpack and had her hair in a high, bouncy ponytail that practically defied gravity.
Bye.
Hi.
Mom.
I'm so happy you're here.
Bye.
Dad. I'm going to be late for the mathletes meeting,
Hi.
the girl chirped,
so happy
waving
you're here.
enthusiastically. Have a great day, Andrea. Don't forget your inhaler, the mom yelled back, blowing kisses as they all got into their respective cars. Andrea. They had another daughter. They had kept her, raised her, loved her, and bought her unicorn backpacks while I was busy fighting rats for the top bunk at the orphanage. The rage that exploded in my chest was hotter than anything I had ever felt before. It wasn't just anger, it was a declaration of war. "Enjoy your perfect life while you can, Blandons," I whispered from behind the tree, "because I'm about to burn it to the ground." I decided right then that simply confronting them wasn't enough. I needed to destroy them from the inside out, and the key to their destruction was their precious little princess, Andrea. I followed Andrea to her school, a sprawling public high school that smelled like floor wax and desperation. I walked through the front doors with the confidence of a student who owned the place, blending into the crowd despite my worn-out leather jacket and combat boots. I spent the morning stalking Andrea, watching her navigate the hallways with her head down, clutching her books like a shield. It became immediately clear that while she was the princess of her home, she was the peasant of the school hierarchy. During lunch, I watched as 3 guys cornered her near the lockers, one of them dangling her unicorn backpack just out of reach. "Please, give it back. My inhaler is in there," Andrea pleaded, her voice trembling. "What's the matter, Andrea?" "You need your unicorn magic to breathe," the lead bully sneered, tossing the bag to his friend. This was my moment. I stepped out from the shadows, snatched an ice cream cone from a startled freshman, and marched right up to the bully. "Hey, genius," I said, my voice cutting through the noise of the hallway. The bully turned around, confused, asking, "Who are you?"
Are you looking for trouble?
"The homeless shelter is down the street. And the circus is missing a clown, yet here you are," I retorted, stepping into his personal space.
You shouldn't.
"You know what bullies and unicorns have in common?" I asked, tilting my head. "They both look better with a horn on their head," I said, and slammed the ice cream cone directly onto his forehead, cone side out like a unicorn horn. The hallway erupted in laughter as the bully stood there, chocolate soft serve dripping down his nose, completely humiliated. He ran off crying about his contact lenses, and I picked up the backpack, dusting it off before handing it to a stunned Andrea. "Thank you so much," she whispered, looking at me like I was Captain Marvel, saying, "You saved my life." "Us outcasts have to stick together," I said with a warm, fake smile, adding, "I am." Danunisha. Danunisha Jira. "I'm Andrea," she beamed, saying, "You are literally the coolest person I have ever met." Hook, line, and sinker. Andrea was so desperate for a friend that she invited me over for dinner that very night to meet her parents, which was exactly what I wanted. I spent the afternoon shoplifting a respectable outfit from the mall, a floral dress that made me look like I taught Sunday school, and washed up in the food court bathroom. Standing on the Blandon porch at 6 p.m., I took a deep breath, plastered on a smile, and rang the doorbell. When Carmen Blandon opened the door, she looked at me with kind, oblivious eyes, having no idea she was letting a wolf into the henhouse. "You must be the girl who saved Andrea." "Oh, come in, come in." "You are a hero," she gushed, pulling me into a hug that smelled like lavender and betrayal. The house was sickeningly warm and full of framed photos of Andrea winning the spelling bee, Andrea at ballet, Andrea existing perfectly. We sat down for dinner, and they made me hold hands for grace, which took every ounce of my willpower not to laugh at. "So, Danunisha, tell us about yourself," Henry asked, cutting his steak into tiny, precise squares. "Well, I'm new in town," I lied smoothly, continuing, "my parents are missionaries currently building wells in unmapped parts of the Amazon rainforest, so I'm staying here alone in a small apartment above a noisy bowling alley." "It is," I sighed dramatically. "Sometimes the rats steal my homework, but I try to stay positive." They fell for it so hard that by the time dessert was served, they had insisted I move into their guest room until my parents returned. "We insist," Henry said firmly. "We have plenty of room, and Andrea would love the company." I accepted with mock humility, but inside, I was screaming with victory because step 1 was complete: infiltration. Living with them was torture. They were relentlessly nice, always asking about my feelings and leaving inspirational sticky notes on my mirror. To cope, I started small. I swapped the salt and sugar jars, replaced the family photos with stock images of random people, and reset all the clocks to be 17 minutes fast. But my main target was Andrea. I began to whisper poison in her ear, dismantling her good girl persona brick by brick. "You know, Andrea, the reason people walk all over you is because you look like a doormat," I told her one night while we were painting our nails. "Really?" she asked, looking at her reflection with doubt. Absolutely, I said, adding, you need to stop apologizing for existing. If someone bumps into you, push them back. If you hate the meatloaf, tell your mom it tastes like wet cardboard. It started slowly. She stopped saying, please. She started rolling her eyes, and she traded her pastel sweaters for oversized black hoodies. When she got her first C on a history test, I threw her a party in our room with stolen snacks. Grades are just a social construct designed to suppress your creativity, I told her, and she ate it up like candy. The parents were confused and concerned, but every time they tried to discipline her, I was there to play the mediator while secretly fueling the fire. She's just expressing her individuality, Mr. Blandon, I'd say with a sweet smile, asking, you don't want to stifle her spirit, do you? The turning point came when I convinced Andrea that her dad's job was the reason she was so unhappy. He cares more about that company than he cares about you, I lied, asking, remember when he missed your piano recital? It was because of work. Andrea's eyes darkened, and she said, you're right. He loves that stupid office more than me. Maybe you should show him how that feels, I suggested, knowing exactly where this would lead. The next day was take your daughter to work day, and Andrea went in armed with a flash drive I had loaded with a virus that would replace every file on the server with a loop of screaming goats. But she went even further than I planned. While her dad was in a board meeting, Andrea hacked into the building's PA system and broadcast a recording of her dad complaining about his boss's toupee. Then, she walked into the conference room and flipped the table, screaming, down with the corporate machine. Mr. Blandon was fired before security even escorted them out of the building. That night, the house was silent as a tomb. I sat on the stairs, listening to Henry weep in the kitchen while Carmen tried to comfort him, their perfect life now in shambles. I don't know what happened to her, Henry sobbed, saying, I've lost my job, my pension, and I feel like I've lost my daughter. I should have felt triumphant. I had done exactly what I set out to do. But as I listened to their pain, I didn't feel like a winner, I felt like a monster. I went to find Andrea to congratulate her, but her room was empty, the window wide open, and her unicorn backpack was gone. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced my chest. Andrea! I screamed, running down the stairs, she's gone. She ran away. The chaos that followed was instant. Carmen screamed, Henry grabbed his keys, and we all piled into the car to search the neighborhood. This is all my fault, Henry cried, gripping the steering wheel. We failed her. Just like we failed. He trailed off, looking at Carmen, whose face was pale as a ghost. Failed who? I asked from the back seat, my voice trembling. Our first daughter, Carmen whispered, tears streaming down her face. My heart stopped. We were just kids, 16 years old, living in a car, Henry choked out, explaining, we had no money, no food, and she was so sick. We couldn't keep her warm. We left her at St. Jude's because we thought we were saving her life, Carmen sobbed. We thought they could feed her and give her medicine that we couldn't buy.
We've been
We
planning
went
this
back
for
for
years.
her,
We can make it
Henry
work.
added,
Just give us
his
a
voice
chance.
breaking. 3 years later, when we finally got jobs
We've
and
been
an
planning this for
apartment,
years. We can make it work.
we
Just
went
give
back
us a
to claim
chance.
her.
I'm sorry.
But the file said adopted, do not disturb, Carmen said. They told us she was with a wealthy family and that we would only confuse her if we tried to make contact. We left because we loved her enough to let her have that better life. The air left my lungs as the realization hit me like a freight train. They hadn't abandoned me. I had abandoned them. My stupid hack, my prank to keep people away, had kept my own parents away. I'm not adopted, I whispered, my voice barely audible. They both turned to look at me, asking, "What?" "I'm Denise," I said, tears finally spilling over. I hacked the computer. I put the do not disturb on my file because I hated the foster families. I'm your daughter. The car screeched to a halt on the side of the road. There was a moment of stunned silence, and then they were climbing into the back seat, crushing me in a hug that felt like 17 years of missed birthdays. "Oh my God, Denise," Carmen cried into my hair, "you're here.
I'm so glad I found
You're
you.
actually here." "I
never meant
ruined
to hurt
everything," I sobbed. "I made
I know I
Andrea
messed
get you
everything up,
fired.
And I'm so sorry.
I wanted to hurt you because I
never meant
thought
to
you
hurt
didn't
you."
want me." "We can fix the job," Henry
Just look at
said
me.
firmly, holding my face in his
We'll get
hands.
through this.
"But right now, we need to find your sister." I knew exactly where she would go. "She wants to be strong like me," I said, wiping my eyes. "She went to the only place that makes people tough." We drove to the orphanage at breakneck speed, screeching into the parking lot just as rain began to pour. I ran inside, ignoring the startled receptionist, and found Andrea sitting in the same dark corner of the hallway where I used to hide. She was soaked, shivering, and trying to look tough, but her lip was quivering. "Andrea,"
Finally,
I called out.
I've been looking everywhere. Just
"Go
leave
away,"
me
she
alone.
snapped. "I'm an orphan now.
Just leave me
I'm
alone.
starting my villain arc." "You're not a villain, you're a Blandon," I said, sliding down the wall to sit next to her. "And apparently, so am I." She looked at me, confused, asking, "What?" "I'm your sister, you idiot." I smiled through my tears, "the real one. The one they lost." I explained everything to her, the hack, the misunderstanding, the years of waiting.
Wait, seriously?
"So, I got suspended and got Dad fired for nothing?" she asked, eyes wide. Mom and Dad came running down the hallway, and for the first time in the history of St. Jude's, there was a happy ending happening right in the lobby. We walked out of those doors together, a dysfunctional, unemployed, messy family, but finally, a complete one. "I can't believe I have a sister," Andrea whispered as we got into the car.
Yeah.
"Well, don't get used to me being nice," I joked, nudging her. "I wouldn't dream of it," she smirked, and I saw a little glint of Denise in her eyes. "By the way," Dad said, starting the engine, I checked my email. "The firing isn't official yet."
Look at that. It got approved.
Apparently,
We can finally
the
go.
CEO hated that to pay too. We all laughed, and as the car drove away from the orphanage, I finally let the do not disturb sign in my heart fall down.